Hello, beautiful people. Hasn't this been absolutely amazing? I am just blown away by the quality and just the professionalism of everybody that is showing up today, and it is absolutely remarkable. And I get the beautiful honor of introducing our next guest, the beautiful Myra Medhouse, and she is a beautiful priestess from the New Earth Leadership and Consciousness Evolution. She has 17 years experience and has touched 2.3 million lives. Like, that is absolutely phenomenal. From Fortune 500 CEOs to different creatives. Myra ignites multidimensional potential for a new golden age. I'll get my words right. We can catch her at international retreats or at the beautiful Temple of the Priestess here in Australia. And this is super exciting. So I am so absolutely amazed to welcome the beautiful Myra. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is amazing that you are joining us here today, and I cannot wait for your presentation. Could you just give a little bit more about yourself other than my bad reading there? Because, it's flow.
You've done an amazing job. That's right. I have a Temple of the Priestess on the Sunshine Coast in Australia. And this came as a result of a dream, a reoccurring dream that just wouldn't let up. And it actually got quite annoying that I had to put it into manifestation form. So the guides and the dream would just go away. But now it's actually a living dream, a living reality. So you're actually in the temple space with me right now. And
Wow.
I'm going to share some of the magic, with all the listeners and viewers. And excuse me because I'm swaying in between a grander energy that's present at the temple. But I'd love to drop into a beautiful song activation, the singing, to really bring everyone in, connected in. And after that, I'd love to share about my remembrances, soul, Akashic awakening to Atlantis. And if we've got any people in the chat, I'm happy to answer any questions that they have about Atlantis as well.
Absolutely. And just for those people in the chat, it's the little Q&A section there so that we can actually send that across. So, take it away, Myra.
Great. So just centering in. Beautiful. Dropping the energy deep, deep, deep down into the body. A song to call and awaken our ancestors, our galactic light, our galactic brothers and sisters. Ti et tonra. Ti Pieterona. This is Atlantean for walk with light. Walk with light. Welcome in, brothers and sisters, back into the vast oceanness of your divinity. And identify with the vast ocean of your divinity behind you, connecting with your ancestors. The vast divinity of who you are. And it is from this place that we will journey to Atlantis with my own remembrances, but also your shared experience. And how Atlantis came to me was through a study of the body, a deepening of this physical experience. And I began to get fascinated with DNA, with the Akashic records, with past lives, future lives, parallel lives, and really dropping into my multidimensional nature. See, the DNA is quantum, it's multidimensional, and the geometry in the tiniest strand of DNA connects you into the stars. It's magic. And it is through this strengthening and belief and talking to my own Akashic records, I wanted to develop such a strong relationship with my own DNA that all of the soul remembrances started opening up. And I had an experience around the age of 25 where I was cleaning my bedroom, and what would have been no more than 3 seconds of linear time, I completely stepped into a whole new movie scene, a whole new script. I could tell you the temperature of the room, I could tell you the people that were in the room, and in fact, I actually found myself in a temple. There was so much information that was transmitted to me in what seemed like a very blip of physical time. I could possibly write 3 complete encyclopedias on this experience, down to the fine detail of what material was used to build the rock that built the temple, the geometric structure and the mathematics behind each laser cut of brick and crystal in the temple. How things were arranged in alignment with nature, in alignment with the constellations, and a beautiful opening in the temple to align the temple with a planet called Sirius B. And I know this story is not just my own story. I know there's so many people around the planet now, and especially those that would be drawn to a summit like this, is that you too have your own remembrances of Atlantis. You see, there's an incredible 26,000 year cycle and a dance that we do between our grand central sun and this planet. And it is that dance where we're at this beautiful, incredible doorway, opening up again and remembering our multidimensional nature. Our multidimensionality is also shared with our whales and our dolphins. They too come as a gift from our neighbouring planet, Sirius B. They were gifted to our planet because they would hold the record and the history of this planet, and they would hold and record the history of this humanity. So if humanity ever went very, very off course and we actually damaged our planet, which has been done before, that is why Mars is called the planet of war. Just as you potentially might have a disagreement with a neighbour over the adjoining fence line, so too could a planet have a disagreement over the fence line of a neighbouring planet. So these things are kind of embedded in our history books. And it's my passion to review and to bring new story and to bring new light to what has been written in our history books because there is such an incredible transformational wave that is sweeping the planet. It's to activate the hearts and minds of humanity up into a higher octave of consciousness. And one of the attributes of that ascension process is unlocking the faculty of our multidimensional nature. And when you unlock the faculty of your multidimensional nature, you begin to realize that this here is not the only story being played. This is not the only song that gets sung. There's many other song lines. As we have song lines in our planet, there's many other song lines running through our DNA and our bodies. And it was in this energetic backdrop that I began to open my own Akashic records and come across the beautiful story of Atlantis and other incredible, higher evolved civilizations that have lived on this planet. That of Lemuria, that of the Babylonian years. And so today, I'll bring my focus in to talk about Atlantis, 11 great cities of Atlantis. If you're familiar with the Tree of Life, it's also known as the Kabbalah. And this is a journey that we go on through our consciousness. From our terrestrial nature, we are actually the bridge into our celestial nature. And we are the bridge between these two worlds, that of the celestial and that of the terrestrial. And journeying the Kabbalah, there are spheres. And this is actually a Syrian framework that was gifted to our humanity once again. And so the 11 great cities of Atlantis were built upon this knowledge and framework. There are 10 great cities of Atlantis, but there is an 11th. And the 11th is multidimensional, and it's a portal. And it's actually known as Darth. Death. The death of the ego. The death portal is the creative portal. And if I have any mothers or women in the room, it's, you know, when you're giving birth, you are so open to the portal. It's like you could pierce the very veil of this reality. And what I discovered while birthing my son is that the death portal and the creative portal are the same thing. It's what's known as the toroidal field. This incredible donut shape of energy that's self-fulfilling. It fills and nourishes itself up. And we are the physical body operating as a toroidal field. And through the 11th city, we travel through a portal and come up into a higher octave of Atlantis. A civilization that was on this planet well and truly. There is a scientific movement now that are finding real, tangible evidence of Atlantis being here, and not just in one location, deeply submerged under the Pacific Oceans. The oceans of India, far, far in the northern hemisphere. And if you have a personal remembrance to Atlantis that is located in a specific spot on this planet, it means that is where your Akashic remembrance is the most strongest. But it doesn't mean that the other regions of this planet were not blessed with Atlantis as well. From my understanding, it was what actually the planet was called at the time. We did not call her Earth, we called her Atlantis. She was all the lands, she was all the cities, and she was all of the 7 seas. So that is an interesting part of the investigation, and the best authority on Atlantis is when you access and come into your own Akashic records. It's a civilization of a beautiful expression of creativity and alignment with oneness. Connected in with our stars, connected in with other planetary systems, connected in with the crystalline kingdom, the mineral kingdom, architecture, beauty, alignment. And in the earlier stages of Atlantis, we were deeply connected into the heart space. The high priests and high priestesses would each be assigned to a city. And to be assigned a high priestess or a high priest, you had to have a light quotient of over 93% in your DNA. The longest serving high priestess is known as Lady Nada. Lady of the Lake. She was the longest serving high priestess, keeping her light quotient so activated, so high, so filled with light in her DNA of over 93%. It is no easy task to do that, as we are discovering for ourselves. And when a child would turn 13, a high priest would visit a boy, and a high priestess would visit the girl at the age of 13. And they would know the child's soul's highest mission. You didn't have to go searching for your purpose in Atlantis. It was known. It was expressed. Everyone had the psychic ability and all the beautiful senses to know deeply who you were, who you are. And so there was no searching of purpose. It was always in a conscious awareness, and community members would know, it would be known, your soul's highest mission. So I'd be visited at the age of 13 and met with a high priestess, and depending on what my soul's highest mission was, because it's still occurring now, is I would be then assigned to a particular city. And in that city, they would have the attributes needed for my continual soul's evolution. And as we now too in this modern age go on pilgrimages, we seek out a master, we seek out a guru or a teacher. We feel drawn to particular continents, and it's like, I don't know why, but I just had to go to Italy. I don't know why, but it's just like I had to do Canada or whatever. This is part of your soul's highest mission, and the working of and the evolution of your consciousness. It's just you're not met by a high priest or a high priestess anymore, but those days will return. And you would travel through the tree of life known as the 11 cities around the globe, understanding first the lessons and attributes of the physical body, then we'd move up into the emotional body, the mental plane, the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and then the unified field in city number 1 is the highest attainment. There was a great connection of the people, the law of one, unity consciousness. This was exercised and an expression present on the planet in her earlier and formative years. There was structure, there was form, there was discipline, and there was training. Music, evolved and healing apparatus, and there was always a direct and regular contact with our star planets and our star brothers and sisters, ensuring that we were educated, ensuring that we had guidance and parameters for this expression of this civilization. Eventually in Atlantis, we became so up in the mind. We were so good at the heart, But we wanted to take it further and experience what it would be like more in the mind. The scientific community was strong. We were making incredible breakthroughs. And there became a very strong focus over our DNA again. And eventually, there was such a pinpoint in the changing of a timeline in Atlantis. And it's very current to what we feel now. We know that we have a choice to make. And this is what's known as the Atlantean cycle. That choice moment is being played out now in 2024, 2020, 2021. We are back at that choice moment. And it is the activation of the remembrance in your Akashic and your DNA that is going, hang on, this scene is all really familiar. Feels like I've been here before. And you feel the splitting of these timelines. This is exactly what happened in the time of Atlantis. And now you can understand how your past lives are not in the past. They're happening now. Again. And because of our multidimensional nature, all stories, all timelines play out simultaneously. So the more we evolve, the more we're actually going to step into conscious awareness of past, parallel, and future timelines. It will actually become very known and spoken of and really quite normal. And what is your greatest power is choice. Because in the time of Atlantis, we had a choice point. And what became evident were two schools of thought. One was the children of the law of one. That the evolution of humanity, the evolution of this planet, is a natural, organic, occurring process that should not be tampered with. And then we had another school of thought, which was a scientific, technocratic community who believed they could enhance that process. They had the belief that they could enhance the evolution of our consciousness through outside influence. And there was such a big focus on the DNA of the human, genetic manipulation, and genetic engineering. Do we not see that again? Do we not see that again in our current reality? The scientific community are making breakthrough after breakthrough in understanding what the DNA is, even. They've still got a long way to go. And it just shows the level of our consciousness when we attribute 90% of our DNA and we term that junk DNA. So it shows the level of our maturity. It is not junk. It is quantum. And our current reality has not even built the microscopes to such a level of refinement of light that our instruments cannot even pick up what is there, but there is something there. There is a quantum portal there. And when you're able to develop and have such a strong relationship with your DNA, which opens up your ability to access the Akashic records, you too will have a very deep conscious awareness of your time in Atlantis. It will unlock your sacred gifts, your abilities, your magnificence. It will unlock and unleash your voice and your heart. And this is the cusp of where we find ourselves right now. The scientific community began their processes in Atlantis of believing that they could enhance and manipulate the organic evolution of humanity. Things went south pretty quickly. It was like, bum bum, won't do that again. And so those that are in 2024 and this current reality, we have, if you've got a very strong Akashic remembrance of Atlantis, you remember these converging stories. And your body begins to actually freak out because you've now got the DNA that's activated going, hey, this scene looks really familiar. So many people I've worked with have had such a fear of water. We've had a fear of confined places, buried under sand, buried whole. And I haven't even got into the priestess persecution wound. That's a different timeline. But if you have two of those timelines running simultaneously through your body and you're trying to keep your job down, you're trying to be a mother, you're trying to keep up with the pace and the quickening of these times, it's not easy. And so approximately 26,000 years ago is what's known as the fall of Atlantis. But Atlantis was well and good and thriving before the fall. And what happened is when you tamper with the natural organic evolution of a humanity and of a planet, you get hard feedback pretty quickly. The reason why you're going to get quick feedback is because our planet actually has a responsibility to keep her equilibrium because she belongs to a bigger family known as our solar system. And if our solar system goes and tilts and comes out of balance, that impacts and has a negative impact on other neighboring planetary systems. And this corner of the universe is not happy. And we are not separate from keeping our integrity to the bigger play here. Our planet has a responsibility to keep her equilibrium, to keep up her position in the solar system. So Atlantis, we gave her a bit of a run for her money and tested her boundaries, and she responded and said, no, you don't get to manipulate me like that. Don't quicken and interfere with the inherent ability of unfoldment of the beautiful divine path. And so the axes and the axis, the North Pole and the South Pole of this planet quickly took a few degrees of a turn. You have the tectonic plates that then shift, and large volumes of water begin to move across lands very quickly. There is a flooding. The story of Noah's Ark comes into play here. And why he and she collect the animals 2 by 2 is to preserve the genetic line of the animal kingdom. We were wiping things out pretty quickly. And so the Mineraling kingdom, they went in deep, deep, deep into the caves and were buried, and they will hold their wisdom for another cycle of time as when their expression gets to be released again. The whales and the dolphins submerge deep into the oceans. Because they are multidimensional, they were able to take a full record and a snapshot of humanity and the planet at that time. And it was as a safety measure, if we were to blow up our planet and destroy the land mass, the whales and the dolphins would have a record deep into the oceans and the waters, protected by the Library of Water. And we fast forward to today of the raising of the light quotient again and the raising of our own consciousness. And it is normal and natural and mechanically right, that your remembrances of these light-filled civilizations would come into your conscious awareness again. And it is a natural process. You don't have to force it. The atmospheric conditions on the planet are so ripe for your own awakening. They're so ripe for you just turning within and connecting. And what I teach is develop a relationship with your DNA. The DNA is what scripts my life. The DNA is quantum. It knows. It can immediately identify what it is that I need in my life. So even when I manifest, even when I build or create things, I'll do affirmations, I don't talk to my mind. I don't even talk to a future version of myself. I talk to the portal of who I am. And that is found inside the center point of every single cell of your being. Because of your DNA. The difference between us and Ascended Master is just the light quotient of how much of their DNA is activated. That's it. So when you break it down on such simple terms like that, really the new human, the new evolving humanity is one that understands deeply and has a reverence towards their DNA and what is actually packed so tightly in there. Are there any questions? I'll just go across to the Q&A. Powerful and potent, yeah. What a glorious transmission. Yes. And this is the rise of sound healing and sound crystal bowls again, of our remembrances from Atlantis and the healing arts, the frequency of sound, the medicine of crystals, and the healing spaces that we were able to build and create. And then we would literally sit in them and bathe in the frequency. And I remember a time of when you had a question for a high priestess or a high priest, if you're male, is they would sit in the temple and they would be so high in their frequency, they would remain still and quiet. And as the student would enter the space, they'd telepathically send their question to the teacher, to the mentor. And it was literally, you weren't given the answer mentally, you were given the answer as a knowing and a transmission of remembrance back into the body. And it was just the adjustment of the high priestess, whether she needed to kind of shift her position or step into and hold the frequency of the solution. But our telekinesis was available. Interstellar travel was very straightforward and easy. Levitation, bilocation. These are all the faculties that begin to unlock when you develop the relationship with your DNA. And you don't have to force it. It's not a mental process. What you're exploring and unpacking here is actually meant to blow the mind. And we want to blow the mind because I need this system here out of the way. I need this system out of the way so I can drop into the portal of the heart. Yeah, yes, I'll get to that question next. And in the portal of the heart is an incredible, I call this the triple heart connection. The heart of our grand central sun, the heart of our physical body, and the heart of our planet. And if you can get this alignment of the triple heart connection between the grand central sun, the physical heart space, and the chamber here, and deep, deep, deep into the heartbeat and the pulse of this planet, you will be such well positioned for the years and decades ahead. And we truly are this pillar of light. We are the antenna. We are electrical current beings. We're the conduits. And we are the bridge, like I said before, between the celestial worlds and the terrestrial worlds. That's why we're here, to actually bridge those worlds, merge them and unify them into this unity consciousness, which we refer to as fifth density or the fifth dimensional living. And there are many, many higher dimensions. Yeah, the Anunnaki. So they were present absolutely in the time of Atlantis, and they were very much in communication and conversing. So I'll read the question out aloud. My apologies. Where do the Anunnaki and their experimentation play out in this storyline of Atlantis? So they were present on our planet and in direct converse and connection with the scientific community, yeah, and with the technocrats. These are those that were very heavily into the processes of the mind. And you can see this current humanity, the bombarding and the infiltration of this bandwidth here of the mind. That's why they put so much money into media and Hollywood, is to hijack and dictate the storyline that gets played in the mind. And the power, the most powerful person in the room has always been the storyteller. And I actually teach you want to become the CEO over your cellular structure. Do not let anyone else get close to your cellular structure. It is your authority. It is your connection into your higher self, your Akashic records, all of your past and present and future remembrances and abilities. Your quantum healing, spontaneous healing opens up for you. And I teach here, protect your mind at all costs. What I mean by that is make sure you're the one telling the script and the predominant story. Because once this space gets infiltrated, you'll begin to change timelines. And this is actually answering your question about the Anunnaki, is that they became a more dominant, powerful storyteller to the scientific and the technocrat communities, and began to sway and sway. And so now we've got part of humanity that are very heavily focused in their mind with the disconnection of their heart space. There is a responsibility of our evolution to be in harmony. This is the harmonic. When each of us play our individual song and the collective songs together play the harmonic universal song. And the neighboring planets hear that, so they will know when to visit us because they will hear the harmonic song played again. There's visitations now, but it's only going to increase and increase. So it was towards the end of the fall of Atlantis, yes, through the genetic engineering years. And this is when you see in Egypt, where I'm going at the end of the year with the Egypt Experience Retreat into King's Chamber, and the beautiful geometry of that space, and activating through sound and voice again for spontaneous healing. It is actually a stargate into Sirius B. The reason it is because it was the Syrians that gave them the technology as to how to build the pyramids. That came from off-planet. And so the fall is sometimes what a student must actually get through first. It can be frightening, it can be overwhelming, and it is the body cell memory through the DNA that is processing this grief again. And so there's a lot of grief in the collective field for those that identify with Atlantis. I remember personally having a feeling of like, I fucked up, I screwed up. How could I let things get so bad? Did someone not say anything? Could people not see that that is just so imbalanced, even if I disagreed with it, but you have to let it play out? I'm like, do we really? And so there's a lot of unpacking in this Atlantean story. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of grief, there's a lot of sorrow, and there's a lot of rage. And once I was able to personally push through that and get to the other side, I started unpacking all my incredible gifts, because there is a prior chapter that was extraordinary. I don't know whether to say is or was, because it's very current for me. So it was the awakening of my Atlantean remembrances and the work that I did as a priestess that made me have the vision to build the temple. So this is the work that I do now, is I'm back in temple, I'm back in circle. So that's how potent a soul remembrance can be. That's how potent awakening your Akashic records and working with your DNA. It will change the course of your life to a more elevated, more elegant, more magnificent, extraordinary life. It's just get through those earlier chapters though. And it feels like you're frying your system a little bit. But it's actually what the mind seems to be going on. The body actually knows. The quantum part of you knows what is happening, where you need to be, where you need to be next, and how you are actually deeply connected to your soul's highest mission and your level of service and gifting back to humanity. So I encourage everyone listening, watching the replay, and tuning in to begin to strengthen a relationship with your DNA. Try it out for yourself. Experiment. Dear Great Spirit, dear DNA, return me back to the original soul blueprint for this humanity. What do you think that would do? It might begin to get all the corrupt systems and programs and the corrupt, distorted templates out of the way. Dear Spirit, dear DNA, return me back to the soul blueprint of this humanity. Dear Spirit, dear DNA, restore me back to optimum health now. That process alone has completely transformed my life. Love, health, the physical body, my actual physical body has changed shape and I have morphed. The more I believe and the more that I know that my powerhouse is actually in my DNA. It is how I've built my whole business through very different light codes, through the quantum field and the portal into higher and higher dimensions, well beyond the fifth dimension. I mean, we're just at kindergarten, kind of graduating. My son has started school this year and it's like he's in prep, you know. I mean, great achievement, but buddy, you still got a long way to go. We have any other questions? Beautiful. The DNA, the frequency, and these known remembrances are coming back online. Yes, 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 they are. And I say that the women, because I work with women a lot, the women are coming back online. This is what I mean. So really the internet, what humanity call the internet, is actually, the proper term is alternet. This is the internet. This is my ability to be in the astral plane, travel through any dimension that I want, be able to access any timelines. I can quantum jump. I can bilocate. This is the internet, connected to the unified field, and my systems here can process far faster than the internet. You just got to believe it. And then eventually you'll see the evidence and the materialization in your life, and you're like, holy moly, I'm not making it up. It's real. And then that little win goes in your confidence bank, and then you go again. You go again, you experiment and test it out. Okay, what can my DNA create next? And I go so deep in this work through my international retreats. I do a lot of work online, but if you really want to accelerate, if you really want to take benefit of what amplification means, is that you need to collectively come together in groups. And now I have the mechanics of amplification. I have the mechanics of acceleration now, and it's alive. And so I don't just have one person popping in a retreat. I have 12, I have 20. And each person's Akashic records and each person's DNA activation, once they pop, it pops for the whole group, because we're operating in a different continuum of time and space. We're operating in a higher octave of consciousness. And I take people into the lands of Vanuatu in the South Pacific. This is my Lemurian heritage. The DNA of the star people, the DNA of the people of the land, and the people of the sea, and the people of the stars come together, and you accelerate your growth. It doesn't matter if you want millions, money, physical health, if you want love. The end result of your desired manifestation can be whatever it wants. How we get there is through the portal of the body and the DNA, and you can absolutely accelerate and jump timelines to begin to step into this level of service and leadership. And we need mentors in this space. We need examples of leaders in integrity moving into the age of Aquarius, the age of integrity, that higher octave. And so physically, humanity come up into the fifth dimension, the fifth chakra of the body, the throat. Can we speak our truth? This is the question that has been asked of humanity. Can we speak our truth? Can our leaders speak their truth and remain in integrity? So this is the work we do in Vanuatu, and then we have Egypt at the end of the year. Really reclaiming and rebalancing the scales of justice and telling the new stories that need to be told through Egypt. Accessing portals and stargates and pyramids with a new understanding, with your DNA activated already. Don't let the pyramid activate your DNA, have it activated already, and then visit the pyramid. Yeah? This is a bit of a different approach. My beautiful brothers and sisters, we are coming to the end of our time. If there are any final questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. If you are geographically located on the Sunshine Coast in Australia, or you travel and you are in Australia, please visit the temple of the priestess, dimensional breath work, activations, and channeled guidance. I gather in circle with the leading ladies of light here for New Earth visionaries, creatives, mothers, industry trailblazers, innovators and inventors. We gather here on the new moon in temple, and I go deeper into this work. Not only through the shared of teaching, or satsang is a circle of truth, a sitting in truth. I actually give you the experience. Well, you give yourselves the experience. I just create the space for it and hold the vortex and hold the portal. So they are the live events at Temple of the Priestess on the new moon, Sunshine Coast, Australia. I work online, privately, and in group mentorship programs for 6 months. The bigger community is into 12 months. Because when you unlock this master key, you realize that you are holding the pen and you are writing and sowing seeds of light onto the pages of linear time. If you want to create a 5, 6, 7-figure business, I go through this way of creating those manifestations, unleashing and unlocking the voice. So we have our leading ladies of the light and our brothers standing and speaking in their truth. We are the sharers and the storytellers. Remember, I said the most powerful person in the room is the storyteller, because it is the storyteller that scripts the fabric of this reality, and that is actually how we birth the new earth. That is how we begin to script and become the portal and the gateway into the new golden age. Welcome back in, Divine Sister.
Speechless. That was totally phenomenal. Your voice, the minute you came in, I was like, whoa, I'm not expecting that. That was just crazy. It was so amazing. But so many terms that you used that obviously aren't from this world are so familiar to us. And I found that was really, really beautiful and interesting, I guess, too. It's like, oh, death. Okay, death. Wow. That's a different way of looking
Yeah,
at it.
yeah, and the body will remember it. And so the
Mm.
Atlantean language, how I can describe it, is like a combination between what we have left on our planet is Hawaiian and Japanese. They're like, if you were to blend those together, you'd have some Atlantean languages. And there are many languages of Atlantis, but this is just the general kind of universal language that we would have to get from place to place and be able to talk with our brothers and sisters.
Mm. I also love that you mentioned those almost what we would consider here as those rites of passage that almost have been lost, but that golden age of 13, as a teacher, it's been something that, I've always wanted to be in that teenage space because it was like, that's the age where we love the most. It's the age where, we give everything because we're coming into adulthood, we're coming into our personality. And I'd love to know just a little bit more about like some of those little things that can come in.
Yeah, and we still see this. I worked as a nanny for some time in Melbourne, and I worked for a Jewish family, and they still practice this tradition of the bar mitzvah. And I nannied for 2 boys, and so they still celebrate this age of 13. It is a big deal, and we have remembrances of this. Of it's when the mentor presents themselves and saying, hey, you've done a great job up to this point. That's your physical experience of just being in the moment, doing whatever, really. But there's this turning point of when you actually begin to give the pen back to the 13-year-old, and we get trained into actually you are the creator of your reality. And that comes with a level of responsibility and authority. And so you just begin to slowly introduce this to a 13-year-old. You don't give them the whole steering wheel to life, but just it's like, hey, there's a gear stick there. Like, there's your blinkers. Yeah, yep, just a little bit there. And it's we see this, and parents notice this, and like you said, you're the teacher, you will see this played out in the classroom, and it's a little bit edgy. It's like, oh, I've got to loosen the reins and let my 13-year-old now make a few decisions. But if you have a guide, this is a very important age to introduce spirit guides, yeah, or a guardian angel. It would have been introduced earlier in childhood, but usually around 5 or 7, that stuff begins to drop off. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. Giving them the reins, and that is something that is really beautiful. I remember with my own children, people would be like, "Why are you teaching them that? And why are you saying that?" And it's like, because they asked. It's you
Mm.
wait until they ask, and then you test them on their knowledge already to sort of see the level that they're at, and then you give them just enough to appease the curiosity and to then drive them into, okay, well, what else can I do with this? How much more can I learn? And that is power for them, but also as a parent. One
Mm.
of the things I
Mm.
did write down, which was kind of funny, is you were talking about the frequency of the solution, but I wrote it as solution. And I thought,
Yeah.
that is the frequency of the solution. How can people at home really like understand the, I guess, the difference of those solutions that are coming in that we do sort of know, and that trust piece of taking the steps to then, I guess, change their lives in that manner.
This is like the biggest riddle of life you're asking me. There is, one of the things about when we really work and put our focus on the DNA is it doesn't tell us what to do. It's actually a knowing. And a knowing bypasses the mind. And so the information actually gets felt through the center point of every single cell of your being. So my remembrance of Atlantis is not a mental picture. It's not like I didn't have a vision. It's the scene of the movie changed on me. And the whole entirety of that timeline that I on completely shifted.
Mm,
And so what we can do is it's so important to have support and community around you of people that believe in the way that you want to operate your life. So find
yeah.
people that believe and hold that frequency, support it for you. So now it's a collective shared experience. You're going to have faster results that way. And you've got to find practices that take you out of the mind, breath work, meditation, yoga, dropping into nature. Everything that can bypass the mind, this is the gatekeeper. This is going to trick you. This actually puts the lid
Mm,
on the heights that your consciousness wants to go to, because your consciousness knows that it is this elevated space. The lid is the mind and is literally the constructs of what you believe to be true and what you believe to not to be true. So I just simply tell myself that I believe I have a relationship with my DNA and I talk to it all the time. So I do a lot of
mm.
self-talk. I kind of narrate my day sometimes, but I'm not talking to my monkey mind. I'm talking to my DNA. When I put a call out, I know my DNA responds. And now I've got the
Yeah,
magic of the quantum multidimensional field at my beckon. It's like my resource now. And now I'm really co-authoring with the universe. But
yeah.
this, you need to get it out of the way. Whatever practices you can find, dance, get into the body, sing.
Mm.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
Marie,
so
that was epic. I'm in tears.
I love this
Yeah.
so much. Uh the way that everybody just comes in and adds another little piece to the story, but also this is the safe space and the container. All of these people, and we have already shared your link on YouTube and Facebook. So please make sure everybody at home go and follow these beautiful people. Follow Myra. Like, if you'd like more information, and we're Aussies, we're here in Queensland, so even better. Love that. But all around the world, like these connections are really powerful. And I know for myself, having the ability to turn to people that can talk my talk really understand myself better, it helps that growth journey just that little bit more. So thank you so, so much for everything that you've just imparted on everybody around the world. It has been an absolute blessing. And we will be taking a very short break while we prepare for our next guest, the beautiful Louise Robinson. And yes, thank you again, Myra. Absolutely amazing.
Namaste. Thank you.